Ambrami YouTube viewers, welcome. We have a very special video for you here. We're going to be going through some Newport County loan player success stories. So these players won't necessarily have been successful at Newport County, although a lot of them would have been. But this is going to have a look at where they basically went after they played, as briefly as it may have been, with Newport County. So we're going to go all the way back to around about 2005 for their first one. So here we have Welsh goalkeeper Carl LETHEREN. Couldn't find any pictures of him in a Newport County top, but he came to us from Swansea on loan in 2005. He then went on to play in the Scottish Premier League. That's pretty much what I'm doing: Scottish Premier League, Championship, and English Premier League. Obviously, you've seen him in the Kilmarnock top, and of course, he played for Dundee as well. I believe at the moment he's currently playing for Chesterfield, but following a Newport County loan, he did hit a pretty decent height playing in the Scottish Premier League. Possibly the most successful one of goalkeepers for us is Carl DARLOW. Now, obviously, he was struggling to get first-team football at Nottingham Forest. We needed some keeper cover during a season where we nearly went down, and Carl DARLOW answered the call. A bit of a coup from Justin Edinburgh at the time. He came to us, showed his obvious qualities, that he was going to be a great goalkeeper one day. Helping keep us up that season. Should have played at Wembley if not for a stupid rule. And now he is staking a very, very big claim for a #1 spot at Newcastle United. Massive, massive club. Dubravka out on injury at the moment. Will Carl DARLOW keep his place as #1 when he comes back? Okay, so Tom Naylor from Derby County came on loan to us during our first season back in the Football League. He played against us in the playoffs the season before for Grimsby. Obviously made an impression on Justin Edinburgh, who wanted to bring him in for the season. After a pretty decent season for us, he obviously went on and done pretty well for himself, to be fair, to the surprise of a fair few people. The infamous Morecambe game would have knocked anybody's confidence, but he obviously bounced himself back, finished the season well for us, and eventually played in the Championship for Burton Albion. He was part of the squad that took them up the season before that. Played for Burton Albion in the 2016-17 Championship season. He no longer plays for them, but as you'll see very shortly, he does play for Portsmouth. And it just goes to show how far he's gone in the game, because he's actually the captain, as you see him wearing the captain's armband there. Captaining Portsmouth on their push to get themselves back to the Championship. The next player, Ben Davies. Now, who remembers him being on loan? He was brought in, I believe, by John Sheridan. It was during the season we came close to going down. Not quite the Great Escape season, but we brought him in for a half season. He featured quite well for us, to be fair. It was during 2016 we brought him in on loan from Preston. Although he's played a fair few loan, he's made a fair few loan moves before and after us. He is now a solid fixture in the Preston first team. Started playing first team for them in 2017, and for the last 3 seasons has clocked up a fair few good appearances for them. So he would have got something from our loan move. As brief as it was, Ollie McBurnie's got to be one of the biggest names we've had on loan out there. There was a handful of big names. Swansea bought him from Bradford, and he wasn't really staking much of a claim for a first team place, so they decided to send him out on loan. As they were sending quite a lot of players our way back then, he came to us and on his debut scored a hat-trick in a 3-0 home win against Luton Town. That was during 2015, the 2015-16 season. From there then, I think he played for Bristol Rovers on loan before he started staking a claim in the Swansea team. He was playing for Swansea in the Premier League first team, and then when Swansea went down and Sheffield United went up, Sheffield United bought him for a staggering £20 million. He is now also a full Scottish international, and plenty more to come from this guy, I'm sure. So, strikers. Here's another one, RHYS HEALEY. Came on loan to us from Cardiff, looking to try and stake a claim for a first-team place, coming with a bit of a good reputation, and that reputation he brought with him in fine fashion. He went on a good goal-scoring run during the 2016-17 season for us, which was during the time Graham Westley was at the club, but it was Warren Feeney who brought him into us. He was then called back to Cardiff, where he scored the winning goal against Burton Albion, and unfortunately broke his leg the game after. After a good spell at MK Dons, he now finds himself playing for Toulouse in Ligue 2, which is quite staggering, really, because Toulouse are a pretty decent team in France, so I'd expect there'll be a Ligue 1 team again very soon, and RHYS Healey could be playing in that division. So here's a good example of a player that may not have been, he may not have moved mountains when he played for us, but DONACIEN was brought in on loan by, I believe it was by Terry Butcher, from Aston Villa. And he blew very much hot and cold. He had some good games, he had some poorer games, but there was obvious potential in him. So as you see him there in a Newport County shirt, like I say, he had an indifferent loan spell with us. He was there for pretty much the whole season, and he did feature pretty well. He obviously made an impression because he moved on to Accrington on a free transfer after he was released by Aston Villa, and they got promoted as champions eventually during his second season there. He then got a move to Championship Ipswich, so he managed to get as high as the Championship. Not many of us expected it. He is now back at Accrington on loan from Ipswich, who are in the same division as them. Quite weird. So here's when Josh Laurent, during that same season, he was brought in on loan by Terry Butcher. As brief as his loan spell was, and he didn't really make overly many appearances for us. He made a few loan moves. Well, he was released by QPR and then was taken by Brentford, sent to us on loan, sent to a few others on loan. And as you see him there winning a header in a game for us, I believe it looks like that's against Swindon. He then eventually moved to Wigan and played Championship football for them, but then as you'll see now, he is a strong feature in the Reading first team. Reading, a former Premier League team. Josh Laurent is obviously hitting some heights quite unexpected of him during his time with us, but hopefully he took something from his time with us, and that's led him to where he is now. So here's probably the biggest of the players who joined us on loan. Ben White came to us during the 2017-18 season, following the Great Escape from Brighton. He was not really figuring in the Brighton first team at all. He was in the development squad, and then he came to us on loan and made a fantastic impact during his time with us, to the point that Brighton wanted to bring him back and send him to a bigger club, which he didn't really want to do. He seen out his time with us for the season, then got a League One move to Peterborough for a season, and then, who can forget, last season's EFL Championship winning side with Leeds United, to the point there was a big struggle this summer, Leeds trying to sign him on a permanent deal, but Brighton, obviously seeing his talent, sending him out on those loan moves have obviously paid off, because he's going to be a quality player, tipped to be an England international. So Antoine Semenyo, he was a great strike option. He spent half a season with us during the 2018-19 season. He possessed great pace, great dribbling ability, and an eye for goal. Didn't score loads of goals for us, but you could see the potential in him while he was with us, and unfortunately Bristol City called him back. Didn't really figure much for them when they called him back. But the good thing about Semenyo was that he got to play some good FA Cup games for us. It was a shame he was called back before we got to take on Man City. That would have been great for him. But a brief loan move to Sunderland set him up well for Championship football. And this season, Bristol City have been figuring him in their first team. So Semenyo, he obviously took something from his time with us. I believe he was in the conference the season before he came to us. I can't remember which team. But he is, like I say, he's figuring in the first team for Bristol City. A lot like the next guy we're about to see, Tyreek Baconson, who did get to see the season out with us during 2018-19. Got to the playoff final with us. Blew hot and cold for us, looked absolutely phenomenal one game, and then looked a bit clueless the next. But the potential was there. A young player, you're never going to get amazing consistency from a young player like this. He had a great season with us, and then won promotion last season with Plymouth in a great loan move for him there. And obviously has developed his game so much that his consistency has improved, and now he is getting first team football for Bristol City. I likened him to Paul Pogba in the way that he played. Not to say that he is of Paul Pogba's ability, of course not. But I definitely think there's a lot more to come from this young man. Bristol City, he's playing for them now. I feel he'll be a permanent fixture in their first team and potentially a Premier League player within 2 seasons if he keeps up his good form. Now, this is Jordan Green, obviously. Another example of one that maybe didn't really move the earth while they were with us on loan, but got some success following his loan move with us. So he was loaned to us in the 2016-17 season from Bournemouth. He was a Graham Wesley player. He obviously done enough with us for him to get signed up by Yeovil when he was eventually released by Bournemouth. He came back to haunt us with a staggering performance in a Yeovil 6-0 win at Rodney Parade during a point we were in great form and they were in bad form. So that pretty much shook us, and obviously he carried that form on and got himself a move to Barnsley, where he eventually got to play Championship football during 2019-20. We had him back on loan that season, but he is still playing his football with Barnsley. He's out on loan at Southend now, I believe. Miles Story. Now, this is one I nearly forgot about. He joined us from Swindon in 2015. This was during the 14-15 season that we lost Justin Edinburgh, and Jimmy Dack took us on to try and get a playoff place. We came very, very close. So Story was obviously struggling to get first team football with Swindon at the time. Joined us. He scored a couple of goals, I believe, and this is one that he scored at Burton, the winning goal against Burton, who won that league that season. But we went there and beat them, which is why a lot of Burton fans, who I know, thought that we were going to go up. He obviously impressed enough to get a loan move to Inverness, and then done enough then to secure a permanent move to Aberdeen. So he played Scottish Premiership football with Aberdeen, also Partick Thistle, and has now rejoined Inverness Caledonian Thistle, playing in the Scottish Championship, but he did hit the SPL and played for a big club like Aberdeen. So following a loan move with us, that's how his Scottish journey started. So hopefully he took something from his time with us to lead him there. Now, Danny McNamara is a quite recent one. We had him on loan last season from Millwall, and yeah, he played the full season with us, obviously until coronavirus ended things. But he was obviously struggling for first team football with Millwall, so they sent him down. I believe he's highly regarded there, and they're hoping that he is going to be a potential first team player for them in the near future. So he joined us, an Irish under 21. Which meant that we missed him from time to time in games, to the point that we had games postponed every now and again. But sometimes we just had to play them without him. And he was one of those, he was good for the majority of times, only had the odd poor game, which is why St Johnstone from Scotland have taken him on loan from Millwall themselves. So he is playing SPL football. I haven't played any Championship football with Millwall yet, but I'm certain, because he's doing fantastically well, and St Johnstone are having a good season so far. I'm absolutely certain that he's going to come back from St Johnstone, and if he does secure a further contract with Millwall, he will be playing Championship football with them if he keeps up his form in Scotland currently, which has obviously served quite a lot of players well when it's come to playing for Championship clubs. Now, who remembers Michael Smith? We had him on loan from Charlton during the 2012-13 season briefly, a big striker. He was brought in as a bit of firepower up front. Because we couldn't keep him on loan, Charlton took him back. It basically meant that we went out and got Christian Jolyon on loan. Now, I couldn't find one of Michael in a county top, but this is him playing for Portsmouth against us. This during a 3-0 win for us at Fratton Park, which was always nice. So he had a relatively successful period with us. He'd have a game where he didn't really do much, but he'd have games where he absolutely terrorised defences, so we knew he was going to go on and do well. He's played for a couple of clubs, but as you can see now, he currently plays for Rotherham. He played a full season of Championship football and got relegated with them. They then got promoted, as you'll see there. They got promoted to the Championship again. And now he is playing Championship football again with Rotherham. I think he started his Championship time in 2018. Deji OSHILAJA came on loan to us from Cardiff during our first season back in the Football League. That was 2013-14. So couldn't really get any first team football at Cardiff, so joined us and impressed massively. He was a real strong defender for us. Played for a fair bit of that season, I believe. But I think it was when he ended up going back to Cardiff is when we ended up picking up a former Cardiff player, Darcy Blake, to cover him. But OSHILAJA eventually ended up getting a move to AFC Wimbledon, where he was a permanent fixture for them for a good few seasons before Charlton picked him up. As you'll see here, this is when he signed for them, and he played for them for 2 full seasons, one in League One, getting promoted, and then obviously playing in the Championship for them last season. He is in League One with them again, but Charlton are tipped for promotion this year, so we'll see them climb again, hopefully, for Deji. So anyway, that's all I got at the moment. If you guys can think of any more, please drop them in the comments. But it's just pretty much a message to anybody who is running a football club that wants to send any players out on loan. Send them here. They're going to do well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like, subscribe. Cheerio for now, and as always, up the county. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again. Make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.